grinder. There's quite a few things you need to do on this one as well. Basically, we'll start over here with checking your gas to start off. Fuel tank's underneath this housing reservoir. It's on the right side on this machine. You just open her up, check it out, make sure there's gas in it, make sure it's full. Easy way to find it's on the very back side. This right here, the best thing to do on these machines is to level them out before you service them if they're on the trailer. This tank, if you level it out, would probably be about 3/4. So basically what we're going to do is bring the jack down just a little bit to level it out so we can find out what the fuel level really is. It'll also help us with our engine oil levels each later. It's also going to help with the hydraulic fluid levels. So that dropped it down to 3/4. Hydraulic fluid, you need to be right in here on the full marker right there. We're checking the engine. The engine oil, it's right back here in the back. Also, while you're over in this area, you might as well go ahead and check your battery, make sure your terminals are clean, make sure you don't have any corrosion. So, the batteries that are clean. Next thing we're going to go over is with the engine oil. Basically to start this machine, because you're going to have to start this machine to level the engine up before you check the engine oil in them. These are very dusty machines, so they dirty the filter up as well pretty easily. You have your choke on the top, your throttle on the bottom, just kind of bring them into each other. Take the oil, raise it up, and there's going to be a toe block down here. The toe block's right in here in this position. Make sure you take it out. Red block. All you have to do is pull a pin, pull it out. Just come over here and stick it out of the way. Put it right there. Now what we're going to do is level the engine out so it's flush level. Turn it off. Take the plunger out. Wipe it down. Stick it back in, and then you're going to check your oil. Now that we're on the full marker here, stick it back in. Go ahead and check our air filter while we're back here as well. Pull your cover housing off. This looks like it's got a fairly new filter in it. We'll take it and do just like the other one, make sure we can see light through it. Then you have your internal filter. You're going to make sure you look for any kind of damage, burning, or anything like that on it. Make sure it's clean. Stick this back in the housing. While you're in the back, you can I'll generally check the teeth on them, make sure they're all tight. If these teeth get loose, they can go flying. So you want to make sure they're all very tight. Make sure the blocks are tight. We'll bring this back up, put the toe block back in it. Toe block is very important to tell customers when you're loading them up to take out, because it can damage all kinds of things. It can damage your hoses, your cylinders. So it's something that can be easily forgotten, especially if you're giving it to somebody who's letting one of their workers do it for them. Okay, while you're in the back, we're going to spin the wheel. Check all the teeth and make sure they're tight. Now after the teeth are tight, we'll come over here and go ahead and grease it. This one only has, it has 6 grease fittings, one which is hidden. You're going to have the 2 up here on top of this bearing. Pump TC grease coming out. You got one right here.
Hey, we got Cobar's waiting to get the Bobcat tooth bucket.
Then you've got one over here on the side that you need to grease. It's usually kind of hidden. It's not the hidden one though. But you're gonna take this, grease it a few times. The hidden grease fitting, you'll have to start the engine to get to it. Those are all the grease points on these machines. Next, these things have several belts on them that you have to check. You're gonna have, this is the main one that's gonna go out on you. This is the belt. This is the belt for the blade drive. Behind this cover, it takes a 1/2 wrench or socket. Take the cover off. Check in here for tension and make sure there's no burning or wear on the belt. The belt feels tight and the teeth are still good, so it's good to go. Put the cover back on. If you were to need to adjust those belts' tension, they kind of work off the bearing pulleys and the bearing blocks. And I'll show you how to do that. For that application, we need a 3/4 inch socket and a 1/2 inch wrench. And a 3/4 inch wrench as well, open face. Go ahead and put this cover back on. The next one, you'll probably have to have a wrench to get to these belts because you can't always get the impact or the socket that you're doing. I'll go ahead and get all the ones out that I can get out with this impact right here. So just these belts for this one and this one, all you do is just loosen these up. These bearing pillow blocks, and there's a jam nut down here. It's kind of, sometimes you have to dig for it, but it's underneath here. You'll need to break it loose with a 3/4 inch wrench. Then you're going to take your 1/2 inch wrench right there, and this is going to bring, this will pull this up so it's pulling tension on those belts. So, very easy. These belts right here don't wear out as fast as the ones down here. Just slides off, as you can see. These are the belts that run down to the engine. These feel really good and tight, so they're not got any wear on, so we won't need to change them right now. We've got these right here that we need to check. These go to the clutch. These look like they've just been changed here recently as well, so they'll be good to go. So then all you have to do now is put everything back together how you found it. Side cover back on here. Something I noticed a little bit earlier when I was taking the belt cover off that it was missing a bolt. If you ever find anything that's missing a bolt, we need to replace it. We have a bolt. We have a bolt department in the back where we can find all the bolts that we need for most of this equipment. If we don't have it, we need to let management know. Like that bolt that was up there. Luckily, all the bolts you need to check the belts are all half, or you need a half-inch socket change, basically a 5/16 bolt. Again, I'm trying to tighten them up as much as I can. My fingers get down a little faster.
Let me tell you about some videotape. We're videotaping how to fill heavy equipment.
Basically, next what we're going to do, we're going to check our tires on the trailer and on the stump grinder. Just come around here and check the tire pressures on these. They're indicated on the side what the PSI is. And these are 32 PSI. That's what I'm filling to. radiator on these tires, they're kind of weird. You're going to have to use the back end of this air socket because it's right down in here. Just kind of tuck it back down on there. .32. There's actually 2 air fittings inside of here. You have to check both of them. Sometimes when I'm servicing these, I'll check to make sure your hub block's working. It looks just like this on the top of this wheel well. You basically reach your hand in there and pull it out. That's going to disengage your axle. Because basically to steer these things, you want one axle unlocked and one axle locked. But when you're pulling on and off this trailer, you have to have both of them locked, otherwise you don't get enough torque to pull up on the trailer. Replace these. And then to finish, basically what we're going to do, crank it up and check the blade, make sure everything's turning, make sure everything's functioning the way it's supposed to in operation. Disengage the blade right there. This is your sweep. If you do ever need to do an oil change on one of these things have quick hoses right here, so you don't have to try and make a huge mess right in here. Just drop that off into an oil pan. Basically, we go by an hour meter that we've got set up in the computer on these things. So you'll need to go up here and check the hours when it was done its last oil change on. And go by the meter right over here on the side. And that's pretty much it on the stump grinder.